The air crackles with an unnatural hum, a low thrumming that seems to originate from everywhere and nowhere all at once. Kevin's voice, usually so steady, wavers as he recounts his bizarre discovery. The other house. Not just a house, but their house, identical in every detail, just a few yards away. He'd seen them, he insists, they're doppelgängers, sitting around a table, just like them. An uneasy silence descends, punctuated only by the distant, almost musical whine that persists outside. M's heart pounds a frantic rhythm against her ribs. Could he be hallucinating? The others exchange nervous glances, a mixture of disbelief and growing dread etched on their faces. Mike, ever the cynic, tries to rationalize it, suggesting it's a trick of the light, a shared delusion brought on by the strange events of the night. But the conviction in Kevin's eyes is unsettling. He truly believes what he saw. The initial shock gives way to a creeping terror, a realization that something profoundly wrong is unfolding around them, something that defies all logic and explanation. The comet, once a distant spectacle, now feels like a harbinger of chaos. M grips her wine glass tighter, knuckles white. Hugh, ever the pragmatist, suggests a simple test. What if they leave a unique marker, something undeniable? Kevin, still reeling from his encounter, proposes an object. A small, delicate porcelain cat figurine sits on the mantelpiece. They decide against it, too easily mistaken. Then, M remembers. She reaches into her pocket and pulls out a small, intricately designed silver ring, a gift from her grandmother. It glows faintly in the dim light, almost pulsing with an inner energy. "We'll leave this," she states, her voice firm despite the tremor in her hands. "In their mailbox. If it's still there when we come back, or if it's gone, we'll know something." The plan feels flimsy, a desperate attempt to grasp at normalcy in a world that's rapidly unraveling. Hugh volunteers to go, his resolve a thin veneer over his own mounting fear. He takes the ring, his fingers brushing against hers, a brief moment of human connection in the escalating strangeness. The hum outside intensifies slightly as he steps out into the oppressive darkness. The minutes stretch into an agonizing eternity. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of leaves outside, sends a jolt of adrenaline through the group. When Hugh finally returns, his face is ashen. He holds up a crumpled piece of paper, his hand shaking. "It was there," he whispers, his voice barely audible. "In their mailbox." On the paper, in shaky handwriting, are the words, "Do not go outside." A collective gasp escapes their lips. Not only was the ring gone, but a message, a warning, had been left in its place. The implications are staggering, terrifying. It's not just a duplicate house. It's an active, aware entity, mirroring their actions, anticipating their moves. The idea of parallel selves, once a fantastical concept, now feels chillingly real, and feels a wave of nausea wash over her. They are not alone, and they are certainly not safe. The line between reality and nightmare has blurred irrevocably, and they are trapped within it. The air in the room grows heavy, thick with unspoken dread. The low hum outside seems to resonate within their very bones. Suddenly, the lights flicker violently, then die. The house plunges into absolute darkness, a profound, suffocating blackness that swallows all sight and sound. A collective cry of alarm erupts, quickly stifled by the oppressive silence that follows. The only light comes from the faint glow of cell phone screens as people fumble to turn them on, their beams cutting weak, trembling paths through the inky void. In the sudden absence of artificial light, the outside world seems to press in closer, its strange hum more pronounced, more menacing. The comet, a distant, fiery eye, now feels like it's watching them, its silent gaze filled with an unknown power. The blackout adds another layer of terror to the already escalating situation. It's as if the strange phenomenon outside is actively interfering with their environment, exerting its influence over their reality. Panic begins to bubble beneath the surface, a primal fear that threatens to overwhelm their fragile composure. They are isolated, vulnerable, and completely at the mercy of whatever forces are at play beyond their control. The darkness feels personal, a deliberate act. When power returns, flickering and unstable, Their eyes are drawn to a small, wooden box on the coffee table. It wasn't there before. Em stares at it, a knot of ice forming in her stomach. Where did it come from? Who put it there? Mike, always the first to act, cautiously approaches it. The box is old, intricately carved, and slightly ajar. Inside, nestled on a bed of velvet, are small, ceramic shards, each one bearing a unique, hand-drawn symbol. There are 8 of them, one for each person in the room. Each symbol seems oddly familiar, a distorted reflection of their deepest fears, their most hidden desires. They touch the shards, a strange energy emanating from them, warm and unsettling. They realize these are the very symbols they had discussed earlier, a hypothetical method of identifying their other selves. The box is not just an object. It's a direct, undeniable communication from the other house. It confirms the existence of their doppelgängers, and more terrifyingly, it suggests an awareness, a deliberate interaction. The game has begun, and they are unwilling participants. The discovery of the box and its contents shatters any remaining pretense of normalcy. Their faces are a mixture of confusion, fear, and a dawning, horrifying understanding. Kevin paces, his mind racing. Beth clutches her stomach, a silent plea for sanity. Mike tries to piece together a logical explanation, but even his usually sharp intellect falters in the face of such overwhelming strangeness. Em feels a cold dread settle in her chest. They have to know. They have to confirm. The ring, the note, the box. It's all too much to be a coincidence. But how? How do they approach this other reality, this mirror world that seems to be so intimately connected to their own? The question hangs heavy in the air, unanswered, pregnant with terrifying possibilities. The hum outside seems to pulse with their own rising anxieties. The comet, a silent observer, continues its majestic, ominous journey across the night sky. They are trapped in a nightmare of their own making, or perhaps, a nightmare that has chosen them. The need for answers becomes an almost unbearable ache. The group descends into a cacophony of panic theories and desperate suggestions. Arguments flare, voices rising in pitch and urgency. Some want to stay put, to barricade themselves in, hoping the phenomenon will simply pass. Others, driven by a desperate need for understanding, argue for another foray outside, a more direct confrontation. The atmosphere is thick with tension, each person grappling with their own escalating fear and the incomprehensible nature of their predicament. Mike, trying to assert some control, attempts to guide the conversation, but his usual authority is undermined by the sheer strangeness of the situation. Em feels a growing sense of detachment, as if watching a play unfold, a terrifying drama in which she is an unwilling character. The strange hum outside seems to intensify with their rising discord, almost as if feeding on their fear. The comet continues its silent, relentless march across the night sky, a stark reminder of the cosmic forces at play. They are losing their grip on reality and each other with every passing moment. The house, once a sanctuary, now feels like a prison or perhaps a stage. A plan, born of desperation and the need for definitive answers, slowly takes shape. They will leave another note, a more direct challenge. But this time, they will also use the ceramic shards, each person choosing a symbol to represent themselves. Mike, the most pragmatic, takes charge, assigning each person a unique symbol to prevent confusion. They huddle around the table, the dim light casting long, dancing shadows on their faces as they carefully draw their chosen symbols on scraps of paper. The act feels ritualistic, an ancient invocation in the face of the unknown. Em carefully sketches her symbol, a wave-like pattern, feeling a strange mix of fear and morbid curiosity. The air is thick with anticipation, a palpable tension that hums beneath their skin. This is it. This is their moment of truth. They will either confirm their worst fears or find some shred of rational explanation. But deep down, a chilling certainty settles in Em's mind. There will be no rational explanation for any of this. The strange, unsettling hum from outside seems to swell, an almost mournful sound. The consensus is reached. They will send another pair. Hugh and Laurie volunteer, their faces grim but determined. They will take the new note, a more direct query, and place it in the other house's mailbox. Crucially, they will also take the ceramic shards, leaving a unique one for each of their doppelgängers. A silent, undeniable message. The idea is to establish direct, unambiguous communication, to confirm the nature of this terrifying mirrored reality. Em watches them prepare, her heart a leaden weight in her chest. The thought of them encountering their other selves, face to face, sends a shiver down her spine. What will happen if they meet? Will they be hostile, confused, or will it be something far more disturbing? The strange hum outside seems to grow louder, more insistent, almost a siren song drawing them further into the unknown. The comet burns bright overhead, a silent, colossal eye witnessing their desperate attempts to comprehend the incomprehensible. The house feels like a pressure cooker, the air thick with the unspoken fear of what lies beyond the threshold. Hugh and Laurie step out into the oppressive darkness, their flashlights cutting feeble paths through the inky blackness. The others watch from the window, their breath held captive in their lungs. The minutes crawl by, each one stretching into an eternity. Then, a faint light flickers in the distance, followed by a muffled sound, like a gasp. Em's heart leaps into her throat. They've made contact. Or have they? The light disappears and then, after what feels like an unbearable wait, Hugh and Laurie reappear, their faces pale and drawn. They carry a new note, but not the one they left. This note is different. It's written in what appears to be their own handwriting, but the words are unsettling, nonsensical. It's a reflection, a distortion. And then, the most chilling discovery. They hold another set of ceramic shards, identical to the ones they left, but with different symbols drawn on them. Not just different, but symbols they had specifically rejected earlier, symbols that represented their darkest fears. The other house knows. It sees them. It anticipates them. The realization hits them like a physical blow. They are not merely observing. They are being observed and manipulated. The game is far more complex and terrifying than they could have ever imagined. The air crackles with a terrible understanding. Mike has returned, not from the original reality, but from another. He clutches the box, his confusion palpable, his eyes wide with a terror that mirrors everyone else's. Hugh, too, makes his way back, looking even more disoriented. The protagonist, Emily, feels a cold dread solidify into a desperate resolve. She knows now that countless versions of them exist, perhaps even an infinite number. This realization, instead of bringing comfort, fuels a terrifying ambition. She can't coexist with a reality where she isn't happy, where her life isn't perfect. The thought solidifies. She must find her reality, the one where everything went right, where her dreams were still within reach, where she was truly loved. The flickering lights outside seem to mock her, hinting at the unstable fabric of their current existence. This isn't her home. She needs to find it. Armed with a single, clear purpose, Emily steps out into the night. The others are still reeling, arguing, trying to make sense of the impossible. She barely registers their panicked whispers. Her mission is singular. Find a world where her life is ideal. The comet, a malevolent eye in the sky, pulses with an eerie light, casting long, distorted shadows. She walks, not aimlessly, but with a growing certainty that her true home is out there, just beyond the reach of this fractured reality. The houses, identical yet subtly different, blur into a surreal landscape. Each one represents a potential them, a different set of choices, different outcomes. She passes a house where a lively dinner party is clearly underway, the laughter echoing faintly. That one isn't it. She continues, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and an almost manic determination. She approaches another house, drawn by an inexplicable pull. Peeking through the window, she sees a familiar scene. The same four friends, her other friends, gathered around the table, their conversation animated. But something is off. The version of herself inside is laughing, a genuine, unburdened laugh she hasn't felt in years. Her eyes sparkle with an almost youthful exuberance. This Emily is happy. This Emily is thriving. A pang of envy, sharp and hot, pierces through her. She watches as the other Emily interacts with Kevin, their bodies close, their smiles warm. There's an intimacy, a shared history in their gestures that makes Emily's stomach clench. This is what she wants. This is what she's lost. This is the reality she must claim as her own. The desire to simply walk in and take her place becomes an overwhelming urge. Emily retreats into the shadows, observing. The other Emily's phone rings, and she answers, her voice light and confident. Her conversation is filled with details that paint a picture of a successful career, a loving relationship, a life devoid of the anxieties that plague the Emily outside. It's a cruel mirror, reflecting back everything she feels she lacks. The other Emily looks genuinely content, her movements fluid and unburdened. Her hair is styled differently, her clothes a little brighter. She is everything Emily yearns to be. The contrast is stark, almost unbearable. Emily feels a knot of desperation tighten in her chest. She can't go back to her own fractured reality, not after seeing this. The perfect life, her perfect life, is right there, within arm's reach. The thought of simply stepping into it, shedding her own troubled existence, takes root and begins to blossom. A dark, insidious plan begins to form in Emily's mind. She needs to replace the other Emily. It's the only way to truly secure her happiness, her ideal life. The moral implications barely register. They are overshadowed by the overwhelming need to reclaim what she perceives as rightfully hers. She thinks of the sedative she carries for panic attacks, a small vial of escape. She could drug the other Emily, dispose of her, and simply take her place. No one would know. The thought is chilling, but also strangely liberating. The comet's glow intensifies, painting the world in hues of orange and red, as if signaling a profound shift. She picks up a small, heavy rock from the ground, testing its weight in her hand. A tool, a means to an end. The path forward, though monstrous, seems clear. Emily decides to test the waters, to gauge the other Emily's life more closely. She calls Kevin's phone from her own cracked device, listening intently. It rings, and the other Emily answers, her voice warm and loving. "Hey, sweetie," she says. Emily hangs up, a cold knot forming in her stomach. This Emily is truly happy with Kevin. This Emily has everything Emily desires. The phone, a portal to her own messy reality, feels heavy in her hand. She looks down at the hairline crack across its screen, a physical manifestation of her own fractured existence. It's a stark reminder of what she needs to escape. The plan, once a whisper, becomes a shout in her mind. There is no other way. She must eliminate the competition. She must become that happy Emily. With grim determination, Emily puts her plan into motion. She returns to the house, her heart a drum against her ribs. She finds an opportune moment, a brief lapse in the other Emily's attention, and acts. The sedative works quickly, plunging the unsuspecting Emily into unconsciousness. The deed is done. There's a moment of sickening triumph mixed with profound horror. She quickly and efficiently drags the limp body into the bathroom, the cold tile floor a stark contrast to the warmth of the living room. Her hands shake, but her resolve remains firm. This is for her future, for her happiness. The reflection in the bathroom mirror shows a distorted version of herself, a stranger with wild eyes, but she pushes the image away. She closes the door, securing the other Emily's fate, and her own. Emily quickly changes into the other Emily's clothes, trying to mimic her hairstyle, her mannerisms. She studies herself in the mirror, searching for any telltale signs, any flaw in her impersonation. The clothes feel strangely alien, yet also like a second skin. She practices the other Emily's smile, trying to replicate the genuine warmth she had observed. She needs to be flawless to avoid any suspicion. The weight of her actions presses down on her, but she shoves it aside. This is survival. This is her chance. She takes a deep breath, steeling herself, and walks back into the living room, ready to assume her new identity. The laughter and conversation continue, oblivious to the monstrous act that has just occurred mere feet away. She takes her place at the table, her heart still thrumming. A new Emily in a new, stolen life. She tries to blend in, to act naturally, but a gnawing unease persists. Kevin looks at her, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. Did he notice a change? Did he sense the imposter? She tries to reassure herself, to believe that her performance is convincing. But then, a quiet thumping begins from the bathroom. Faint, desperate sound. Her blood runs cold. The sedative, it must be wearing off. Panic flares. She needs to act, and quickly, before her monstrous secret is revealed. She glances around, her mind racing for a solution. The thumping grows louder, more insistent. The other Emily is waking up. Her perfect new life is crumbling around her. She has to silence her permanently before it's too late. The stolen happiness feels brittle, fragile. Emily's eyes dart around, landing on a heavy ceramic cat statue on a nearby shelf. A sickening resolve hardens her features. She grabs it, its weight a brutal comfort in her trembling hand. She walks back to the bathroom, her footsteps heavy, each one an echo of her descent into darkness. The thumping behind the door grows frantic. She opens the door, her face a mask of grim determination. There, on the floor, the other Emily struggles, disoriented but regaining consciousness. Emily doesn't hesitate. She raises the ceramic cat and brings it down, again and again, until the thumping stops, until the struggle ceases. The silence that follows is deafening, punctuated only by her own ragged breaths. Her hands are stained, her soul even more so. She has truly become a monster to secure her happiness. This is her new reality. She stands over the body, the ceramic cat heavy in her hand, her mind numb. The enormity of her actions slowly begins to settle in, a cold, heavy weight. Her hands are shaking, not from fear now, but from the irreversible horror she has just committed. She looks down at them, seeing not just the physical stains, but the invisible marks of her sin. She has murdered herself, or at least a version of herself, to claim a life she believed was hers. The irony is bitter. She has achieved her perfect life, but at what cost? The silence in the bathroom is absolute, a stark contrast to the continued chatter and laughter from the living room. She has crossed a line, a terrifying, irreversible boundary. She is no longer just Emily. She is an Emily who is killed to survive, to thrive. The comet outside continues its slow, ominous dance across the night sky, a silent witness to her terrible transformation. She washes her hands, the water unable to cleanse the stain on her soul. She has succeeded. She has taken her place. But as she walks back into the living room, a faint ringing sound begins to pierce through the quiet. It's a phone. Her phone. The cracked one. On the coffee table. She stares at it, a cold dread creeping back into her heart. A single hairline crack runs across the screen, just like the one she carried. A terrifying realization begins to dawn on her, one that threatens to shatter her stolen reality completely. The call is coming from inside the house. No, not inside the house. From another Emily. From her own fractured, terrifying past. She is not safe. She is not the only one. The ringing persists, a relentless reminder of the infinite possibilities and the infinite dangers. The horror is not over. It has only just begun.